Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Heel Turn, our live weekly wrestling show, and the official podcast of ProWrestling.Cool. It's not just cool, it's not cool. We're here to talk about this past week in the WWE and in professional wrestling, and maybe football. I'm not. This is a weird world that WWE has created, but we're gonna talk about Raw. Well, maybe we're gonna talk about Raw. We're gonna talk about SmackDown Live for sure. We're gonna talk about tonight's episodes of NXT and the Mae Young Classic, along with the Mixed Match Challenge that happened, a little bit of news coming out of New Japan, and a bunch of other great stuff. I'm your host, Owen, and we are streaming this live over on Twitch at twitch.tv/ozoneonline. So if you're in the live audience, get in your comments and your questions, and I will get to them as I deem fit. Hello everyone, welcome to another week here. Still rolling by myself, but it's been going okay. This is going to be a bit of a shorter episode, I think, because number one, if you can't tell, I'm a little feeling under the weather. It seems like everyone's getting a cold now, no matter where you are. So if you're out there and you're feeling a little sick, I hope you feel better. And you better rest up, because apparently this week, a little game called Forza Horizon 4 is coming out, and people seem to be really into that. And if you have Xbox Game Pass, then you're already in. That's part of it. You get it at launch. That'll be exciting. I haven't played a Forza game in a while, so I'll probably be doing that, streaming it a bit. I guess I have to stream it on Mixer, because there's some weird rewards attached to it, that if you stream on Mixer, you get them only that way, so I'm going to figure that out. Apologies to my Twitch followers if that is the case, because part of this whole agreement with the Twitch affiliate program is I can't multi-stream. It's weird, but whatever, it's fine. That's stuff you don't need to hear about. You just follow me on Twitter for information on that, and if you're in my Discord, you'll also get information, because we're probably arranging something there. And yeah, aside from that, not much going on, especially game-wise. I'm just playing the little game called Captain Toad, which is an old game, but I just got around to it on the Switch. And it's fun. Almost done it. And after that, I'm probably going to move over to Dead Cells, because everyone's talking about that game. And apparently, if you like games like Rogue Legacy, this seems to be one of those, but a little more complicated in the combat, which sounds cool. I'm going to check that out. Still wrapping things up in Spider-Man. Spider-Man continues to be an amazing game. Pun intended. And try to think what else is coming out besides Forza. I think that's like, I'm sure there's other big games. I'm glad that my Fortnite account now, if you didn't hear the news, is unlocked from the PS4, so I can possibly play that game again. Because ever since the whole cross-platform locking my account situation, I kind of bailed on Fortnite. But if I can get some friends to play along, and we could do some cross-platform play, yeah, I'd be up for trying Fortnite again. I hear the kids like Fortnite and doing the floss dance or whatever, which apparently the floss dance is also in Forza Horizon 4. So perfect, great. I'm in. Whatever. That's enough game talk. Let's get into the wrestling news. That's the wrestling news jingle. So, let me pull up the notes here. The first bit of news is that did you guys watch Monday Night Raw this week? No, you didn't? I mean, I didn't. Which is weird, because I'm supposed to cover it on this show, but hey, I'm sick. I have an excuse, I guess. Also, I have the excuse that nobody watched this episode of Raw. This is like the lowest ratings they've had in like forever-ish. Well, not forever-ish, but I don't have the actual numbers in front of me, but I do have a comparison that should tell you how things are going. So, this past December, they did an episode of Raw on Christmas Day. Because why not? We have to do the Monday Night Raw every Monday. Can't give the wrestlers a break. That episode on Christmas Day had 300,000 more people watching it than this week. And you can't blame Monday Night Football because it was the Steelers and the Buccaneers, and that was not an exciting game. Until, Fitzpatrick tried to bring the team back, and they failed because, of course, they did. But yeah, that's bad. That means when we get to the Raw discussion, it's going to be very brief because apparently no one cares. And considering that Baron Corbin and Roman Reigns are like the main focus of the show now, yeah, no thanks. But speaking of Raw, one thing did happen, which instead of talking about it during the weekly TV discussion, I'm going to talk about it in the news segment because Brie Bella did a bad. She did a bad on Raw this week. Apparently, during a tag match against the Riot Squad, she decided to do the yes kicks, Danny Bryan's popular move. Except instead of, just doing worked kicks, she actually kicked her in the goddamn head and gave her a concussion. And not only that, but also the fact that she stayed in the match for beyond that, got tagged out, and then got tagged in to do a suplex spot. What are you doing? Like, clearly, you could see when she, hit the mat and she was out, unconscious. They should have got her out of the match or stopped it or something. Because, the whole thing isn't the WWE all about safety and, the wellness stuff and, protecting people from headshots? But no, we're gonna just roll through this match and let her get back in the ring, even. That's the crazy part. So, yeah, she's got a concussion, and her status for the Australia show, which is a week from Saturday, is up in the air. Whoops. Not sure what they're going to do with this, but I guess they could turn it into a normal tag instead of a 6-person tag, and have Ronda Rousey and Nikki Bella take on the other 2 members of the Riot Squad. But yeah, it sucks. That's not good. Hope Liv's okay. Brie put out a tweet, saying that, breaking character, saying this sucks, and we're not supposed to hurt each other. And whoopsies, I did a bad. Thanks, Brie. You stop wrestling. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying you should stop wrestling. Because you keep botching stuff, and eventually people get hurt, which happened this week. And, yeah. I'm not saying that Nikki should stop. Nikki's doing fine. But, Brie needs to chill. Go do mother things. I think that's what Maurice is doing now. Because they kind of wrote her off of TV. That's just me. Speaking of people getting hurt, our next news story is another bad one. Everyone's favorite New Japan wrestler, Yoshihashi, which, if you ever listened to our New Japan coverage, especially during the G1, me and Trace were very hard on this guy. Yoshihashi, outside of the Bullet Club OG, worst part of the G1. Yeah, he tripped going to the ring during the Destruction show in Kobe, and hit his head, and he was bleeding everywhere, and it was real bad. And apparently he fucked up his head and shoulder, and he went to a hospital. And yeah, hopefully he's okay. But yikes, he's supposed to have a bigger position in this big end of the show angle. But because of the injury, they kind of had to limit him. Which sucks. For him, I mean, he sucks, but why not give him his big opportunity. But whoops, no, of course Yoshihashi fucks it up and hurts himself. Oh well. I'm not gonna say what happened at the end of that show because we have another podcast where we're gonna talk about the destruction shows. And if you haven't caught up yet, don't want to spoil it for you. But if you want to hear me and my pal Trace talk about the 3 destruction shows they aired on New Japan World, sign up for that Patreon over at patreon.cool. If you hit the $9.99 tier, you'll get the monthly bonus podcast, which is going to be our New Japan coverage of the destruction shows. That'll probably be up on Friday this week. So make sure you look out for that. It should be a lot of fun. I'm almost done watching those so we can record the podcast, but yeah, it's real good. New Japan is real good wrestling, turns out. Also, they edited out the fall from the replay, so don't go on the New Japan World and try to look that up, because yikes. Again, it looks like all my notes about news is just people getting injured, because Sasha Banks got injured late last week, and just like Alexa Bliss, she's taken out of the mixed match challenge. Uh-oh. She was supposed to be teaming with Bobby Lashley this week, but instead, Mickie James took her spot. I'm convinced that the MMC is cursed because last season there were a bunch of injuries that changed the teams, and now we're already at 2. So they need to do something. I'm not sure what. Like, when they announce the MMC teams, they should just have everyone wrapped in bubble wrap and protect them. But then again, it's a Facebook show, so it's not really that important. But I still really enjoy it. The MMC has been a lot of fun so far. So yeah, everyone watch out for yourselves. Stop getting hurt. Okay, and the next news story from the Wrestling Observer newsletter. If you know what that is. So just some Dave Meltzer guy reporting that a big match that's gonna be headlining the Crown Jewel show in Saudi Arabia is gonna be Shawn Michaels coming out of retirement, the team with Triple H take on the Brothers of Destruction, which they pretty much gave hints that they were gonna do when they had Shawn Michaels appear on Raw a few weeks ago. And yeah, I guess he's coming out of retirement. Because it's professional wrestling, and of course, no one stays retired. So that's the big match. Apparently the Saudi King, or Prince, or whoever the hell's in charge in Saudi Arabia, wanted Shawn Michaels, is paying a stupid amount of money. So yeah, screw all the other retirement stuff. Doesn't matter anymore. Saudi money is the thing that speaks louder than having some self-respect and honoring a storyline from a few years ago. And you should know that at the Australia show, we're going to have Triple H versus The Undertaker with, as they announced this week, Shawn Michaels in Triple H's corner and Kane is going to be in The Undertaker's corner. So that's clearly setting up the Saudi Arabia show. So, great. I don't want to see Shawn Michaels in a ring again. I enjoyed the fact that it was the one retirement that actually stuck. And now they're just throwing it away. And also, Shawn Michaels is old. And I don't think he's in good ring shape. And it's just going to be upsetting to watch. That's why they're playing in a tag. They're not even going to have him do a singles match. Because guarantee he couldn't do it. Especially with The Undertaker, who also is very old and shouldn't be wrestling. But yet, we're going to have that match in Australia. Because why not? So, that's all I got for news, except I did get sent a file from our XFL correspondent, Oscar Bernard, who I've banned for being on the show. However, this is him pre-recorded, so I guess that technically that's a loophole. And I'm gonna play this, and I have not heard this yet. He sent it to me. I said I'm gonna listen to it live on the show. So here is Oscar with his XFL report.
Where's the kind of football that the NFL used to be? Where's my smash mouth wide open football?
So the XFL just posted 3 videos about how they're going to change football. First video, Commissioner Oliver Luck is like, Vince McMahon came to me, he's like, how can we make football better? And he was like, you know, every game's got its flaws and I love the challenge, we're going to make football better. And now here's 2 videos explaining how football is going to become better. First off, they've got this thing, it's called the Reimagination Committee, and their whole job is that they're going to reimagine football. How? You'll have to see when the league kicks off in 2020, but they're going to reimagine football for better football. So they got this committee, and it's like all these football coaches that I don't know who they are, but none of them are Dick Butkus, which is a shame because Dick Butkus is the greatest football man of all time because his name is Dick Butkus. But I digress. They've got this committee and it's going to be like a faster game of football and it's got more plays. And this is for the fan of football that's like, well, why can't my football be better? I mean, I like football, but I want better football. And you know who's going to deliver better football? XFL 2020. This is Heel Turn's XFL correspondent, Oscar Bernard. Now back to you, Owen.
Thank you, Oscar, for that excellent reporting about how they're going to reimagine football. And Trace in the chat says Dick Butkus, the most unfortunate football name. Is it, or is it the best name? Who can tell, really? I mean, I think Mike Ditka is still the best, but that's just because he has a cool mustache and he says the Bears. But yes, thank you, Oscar, for that riveting report. I can't wait to see how they reimagine football. And as more news of the XFL comes out before their 2020 big coming out party, launch, relaunch, kickoff, whatever they're gonna do, we'll have him keep chiming in with information. So thank you, Oscar. That's it for the news. But let's move on over to talk about the WWE Weekly Television. So, the first big thing to mention about the WWE TV is that they debuted a new Then Now Forever video to kick off all their broadcasts, and it's pretty cool. It's swirling. It's like them like going around the side of the WWE logo with videos of a bunch of the then, the now, and then popping up and say forever, because wrestling is forever, and Vince McMahon will never die. So we're stuck with this forever. It's actually pretty cool. So if you've watched any of the WWE TV this week, you'll see the thing, and it's good. Clearly, I noticed it when I watched SmackDown because I didn't watch Raw. Because, come on. No one watched Raw. I talked about that earlier. But yeah, I wrote here for Raw. Aside from that Liv Morgan stuff, nothing happened on Raw. I guess Connor beat Chad Gable. So, Trace, who's in the chat, I bet is thrilled that half of the Ascension finally got a freaking win. And they did it on Raw. Not on main events. Not, in a dark match. Connor got a win on actual Monday Night Raw. Yeah. Trey says the Ascensions are so employed. Come on, dude. It's the Ascension. It's everyone's favorite tag team. They got moved over to Raw because SmackDown doesn't do main events. So they needed to have someone fill in the gap before Raw airs. And then now apparently they're doing a feud with Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, and they actually got a win. That's exciting. So congratulations to Connor. If you follow our stats tracking over at ProWrestling.Cool, the Ascension have been very closely hitting the top of the jobber list again, which they took over the entirety of 2017. So hopefully this win will kind of deter that a bit. Because apparently Arya Davari, who doesn't exist anymore, still has a lot of losses. And I've considered deactivating him since we haven't seen him since, I guess it was the Greatest Royal Rumble. No, he probably appeared like the week after that. But yeah, we haven't seen Arya Davari in forever. Kurt Hawkins is just always losing, so he's still at the top. But yeah, congratulations to the Ascension. Not the worst, but also maybe the worst. Let's talk about SmackDown though, because SmackDown this week was excellent. They're doing great things on SmackDown. If you're not watching it, it's 2 hours. They put the whole thing on Hulu, unlike the abridged version of Raw they do. And it's very good. Very good stuff. They opened with Miz TV. And by Miz TV, I mean Truth TV. Because R-Truth apparently took over Miz TV, and that's his show now. Don't know why. But it's him and Carmella, who... Carmella is not blonde anymore. Because apparently, I guess they looked at the women's roster and realized that almost everyone on SmackDown's blonde. So maybe she shouldn't. Maybe she should just go back to her natural, like, dark hair color. So yeah, she's wearing her darker hair color now. R-Truth is hosting his own TV show. He brings out Daniel Bryan and he asks actual good questions, and then does a dance party. Because why not? Let's do a 7-second dance break in the middle of the show. Why not? It was really entertaining. R-Truth continues to surprisingly be one of the best things going on SmackDown. And yeah, R-Truth was taking over the show. The Miz came out, was pissed, and said, "This is my show." And they had a match for control of Miz TV / Truth TV. And the big thing coming out of this is that not only did the Miz win and get his show back, but he debuted his own version of the running knee. He already took all of Danny Bryan's other moves, so now he took his finisher. And he won the match with it. He hit the skull crushing finale, and then he set up for the kick, which I want to give a shout out to the WWE production or whoever was directing this segment, because as he was setting up for the knee, commentary went dead silent. And it was just cutting between the Miz doing the yes hand motions and a close-up of Danny Bryan sternly looking on. It was just brilliantly put together. It added a lot of gravity to the moment where you realize, oh shit, the Miz took the most important part of Danny Bryan's repertoire. And as soon as Miz won, Danny Bryan stormed the ring. It's like, screw this. So that adds a new wrinkle to their match at the Australia show. And I'm kind of excited to see this. What if the Miz beats Danny Bryan with his own move and gets a WWE title shot? That would be pretty crazy. But also, I could see it happening. Next thing I have written here is just simply the word Milwaukee. And if you didn't watch SmackDown, you may be like, what's so special about Milwaukee? And the answer is nothing. Except in the storyline that we have between Aiden English, Rusev, and Lana. Because last week, Aiden English attacked Rusev and broke up their little team. And this week, Rusev and Lana came to the ring and demanded answers. And Aiden English came out and he showed a video package of the birth of Rusev Day and how great these two have been together. Which, if you actually know and you've been paying attention, yeah, they've been popular, but they've been like losing every big opportunity they've had. But don't worry, Aiden English doctored it so it didn't look that way. And then he showed a second video about Lana trying to add some doubt about her by having an edited video where it looks like it's Lana who is screwing everything up and costing them all the matches and stitching together the commentary. So instead of Aiden, they're saying Lana is doing all this. And it's so good. Man, WWE production are just excellent, these video packages. And it was a real fun segment to watch. And then Aiden English dropped the bomb where he said, well, if you're going to be so honest with Rusev, why don't you tell him about that one night in Milwaukee? And then he left. And the rest of the episode revolved around Lana like being concerned that Rusev doesn't believe her, that nothing actually happened in Milwaukee. And Rusev saying, I believe you, but also he doesn't actually believe her entirely. And apparently next week, Aiden English is going to provide video evidence of something happening in Milwaukee. And I am actually looking forward to this because not only do we have this evidence coming out next week, but in the MMC, Ravishing Rusev Day is going to take on Day One Glow. And depending on what happens in this footage, there may be a bit of trouble between Lana and Rusev. Just saying. I also like that part about the MMC is that storylines from the main shows have been carrying over. Like, for example, The Miz and Asuka take on R-Truth and Carmella, and we had the whole Truth TV segment going on the episode of SmackDown. So just cool little elements like that being incorporated in, making it a little more incentive to watch it. Aside from the fact that the matches are fun. What else we got here? We got Ty Dillinger defeated Shinsuke Nakamura. I'm just gonna let that marinate for a minute. Enjoy it. Ty Dillinger beat Shinsuke Nakamura, the United States champion, by disqualification, because it was a fun competitive match, and Ty Dillinger was starting to get the upper hand, and then Randy Orton showed up and attacked him because Randy Orton's an asshole and he wants to kill everything that we love, and apparently that includes my adopted son Ty Dillinger. So guess we can have nice things like Ty Dillinger getting into the mid-card championship picture, because Randy Orton is not going to let that happen. And they actually interviewed Orton later in the night, and he explained that it's not because he's going to feud with Ty Dillinger now, because heaven knows we get to have Ty Dillinger do anything of value on SmackDown nowadays. He did it because the 10 thing pisses him off, and because the people like it. There you go. Randy Orton continuing to reign on all our parades, and I guess continue to float in limbo now that Jeff Hardy's gone. I'm sure we're gonna get a Ty Dillinger match on like an episode of SmackDown, right? Probably gonna be a squash match, but come on, give Ty stuff to do. He seems to not be paired with R-Truth anymore because of the whole Carmella thing. But yeah, I like Ty Dillinger. I think he's a great wrestler. I think he's way underutilized. And I hope this leads to something for him. Please. Please. Do something with Ty Dillinger. We had a few good things from Becky Lynch this week on SmackDown. The first thing being that Charlotte was having a photo shoot for WWE.com or something, and Becky Lynch attacked her because fuck Charlotte. Becky Lynch is the champion. Everything should be about Becky Lynch, which you can't really argue. She's great. So yeah, she laid out Charlotte and then stood over top of her, holding up the belt, and demanded that the cameraman takes photos of her. And the best part about this is, you could hear the audience in the arena, and they were cheering because Becky is awesome. Like, this was a super dastardly thing that she did, but it doesn't matter because it's Becky Lynch and she's great. So, great job, Becky. Yeah. No matter what you do, we will not turn our backs on you. Let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, also Becky fought a match with Lana because Lana's distraught, so put her in the ring. I'm sure that'll go great. Becky squashed her. She did talk shit about the whole Milwaukee thing and saying, give a shit about Milwaukee. I'm the champ. Everything's about me. Which it is. Because Becky's great. Then the last thing I have about SmackDown is that we had a contract signing for the Super Showdown match between Styles and Samoa Joe. Which is going to be no disqualifications, and there must be a winner. And Paige is out there to moderate, and she was fretting him out the whole night, getting security, making sure that, you know, this doesn't turn into a WWE contract signing and result in a brawl. And so we have Paige out there with security, and AJ Styles comes out. And then they announce Samoa Joe. And Samoa Joe doesn't show up. Because we get video on the Titantron. Samoa Joe's outside somewhere. And it's pre-taped because he's not, you know, lined up with AJ Styles and him trying to talk to Joe. Which is fine because you can't rely on like live video streaming from a phone in the middle of nowhere actually, you know, being reliable on live TV. So I get it. It makes sense. But Samoa Joe a few weeks ago had threatened to go to AJ Styles' house, and I thought there's going to be a whole segment of them fighting there. And then Samoa Joe just showed up in the arena and says, "You guys are idiots. You thought I was going to do that?" Well, apparently he's going to do it when he doesn't tell you he's going to do it. Because that's where he was. Styles is in the ring, and Samoa Joe is at the Styles house. And AJ Styles is not happy about this. He's like, oh, Jesus, my family's in there? Oh, God, the psychopath's outside my house. The best part of this was Samoa Joe asking Styles to call Wendy to warn her. And Styles, like, reaching for his pockets and going, well, no shit. I don't have my phone. And Samoa Joe pointing out, yeah, of course not. Of course you don't have your phone. You don't bring your phone to the ring. Which is logical. You don't want to break your phone in a wrestling match. But still, the fact that they pointed that out was pretty good. And Samoa Joe was being creepy and upsetting. And he rang the doorbell. And then the show ended. We didn't get to see what happened. And it was great. Man. This Samoa Joe AJ Styles stuff is like, I thought the whole family stuff when it started out was going to be real dumb. But it's been excellent. And it's mostly because of Samoa Joe. I say this every time they're about to have a big match. Give Samoa Joe the belt. He deserves it. Give that man the belt, please. Yeah, it's on. I'm sure it's on the YouTube page. You should watch the Samoa Joe closing segment because it's just so creepy and awesome, and the way they just end it on a cliffhanger has me excited for more. More, please. We have one more week before the Super Showdown. So yeah, that's SmackDown. SmackDown was great. Our Truth stuff started the show, and then the Smojo stuff ended it, and there's a bunch of good stuff in the middle. Then we had 2 matches on the MMC, which is on Facebook Watch if you're in North America, or I guess just in the US. I don't think Canada is able to watch it. But we had Mickey James and Bobby Lashley, who, as I said, Mickey James is replacing Sasha Banks, and they did a poll on Facebook to pick their team name, and they went with Country Dominance. And if you watched the pre-show on Facebook before they do, because we need a pre-show for everything, but on the pre-show for the MMC this week, they interviewed like fans outside the arena about names for the team, and a lot of them said Mickey Bobby, which would have been a really good name. But then one person said the legit best name for this team, which was Impact Veterans, or like Veteran Impact or something like that, because they're both from Impact Wrestling, and they kept that in the video. It's real because this was all like edited and taped before the show, so that was a good little Easter egg they threw in there. Good job, WWE. So yeah, Country Dominance took on Mahalisha, which is Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox. And the interaction of Jinder Mahal trying to do his Shanti stuff and Alicia just being a spaz was great. They had a fun segment where they did a push-up contest with the women actually like on their backs, and that was fun. And ended up shocking that the baby faces won. So Country Dominance are your winners, and it looks like Mahalisha are gonna fight again next week, and Mahal's gonna try to get her to be like calm over the next 7 days. So good luck with that. The other match was the defending champions of The Miz and Asuka, Team Asuka, taking on the Fabulous Truth of R-Truth and Carmella. And the one thing I want to point out, well, 2 things I want to point out from this match is, one, the crowd chanting for a dance break during the match, and the Miz getting pissed off at this, and the dance break actually happening and Asuka getting in on it was good. And the other thing is that the Miz was calling out Carmella's moonwalk and saying he's got the best moonwalk there is. And instead of doing the actual moonwalk dance, he did the thing where he took the big steps like he had no gravity. And it was real good. Of course, the Miz sacrificed himself and helped Asuka pick up the win for the team. Yeah, the MFC is great. It's just fun, dumb house show style matches, and you should be watching it because it's on Facebook and it's free. It's not a big deal. So yeah, that's it for the weekly TV. If you have anything that I missed or you want me to elaborate a little more on, hit me up in the chat. And if you're listening to the podcast version, you should tune in Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, 10 p.m. Eastern Time now because of the whole Mae Young Classic pushing us back. But yeah, we stream this live, and you can put in your input. Like our pal Trace. So without further ado, let's move on to talk about NXT, which had a really solid episode. This very solid episode tonight, because the next 2 off we do the full recaps of the shows that aired tonight on the WWE Network. So on NXT, the show opened with William Regal giving us an update on the whole Aleister Black investigation, trying to figure out who was the person who attacked Aleister Black and put him on the shelf. And pretty much immediately he gets interrupted by the Undisputed Era. Adam Cole calls out that it's been weeks and he hasn't gotten any further in the investigation. Points out that the War Raiders are going unchecked and just attacking them whenever. And Ricochet is ducking Cole and won't give him his rematch. Instead, Pete Dunne is getting the title shot. Trace in the chat says Otis for all champions. Do you include Tomato Champion? Because we'll get to that. Because the main event of this episode of NXT was Otis Dozovic versus Tommaso Ciampa, aka Tomato Champs, and it was really good. Trey says yes and yes, fantastic. So yeah, Regal points out that, hey, Adam Cole, you never asked me for a rematch, and in fact, you wanted Pete Dunne to go first and weaken up Ricochet for your rematch. And because of the Undisputed Era's interference last week, that title rematch isn't going to happen right freaking now like Adam Cole wanted, but instead in 2 weeks. And it's not a singles match, it's a triple threat with Pete Dunne. That should be an excellent match. I look forward to it. Especially after that, match of the year candidate between Ricochet and Pete Dunne last week. If you haven't watched it yet, go watch that match. The finish was obvious, but I didn't care. Oh, also, not only is that happening in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks, Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly are going to defend their NXT tag titles against the War Raiders. So there you go. 2 big championship matches happening next month. Mrs. B60 says, what about John Cena? John Cena is not wrestling. And especially on NXT. Also, you can't see him. So maybe he was there. We don't know. After this, we get a Johnny Gargano's interview outside of Full Sail University. And apparently he's fighting Tony Nese next week. For reasons? I don't know why Tony Nese is going to be there, but he is. So sure. And this is going to be Johnny's big chance to become Johnny Wrestling again. And, after all this failing and having to apologize to the NXT universe for being a complete failure, this will be his big turnaround. And he's not going to turn to the dark side like he almost did. So he goes off to leave with his wife Candice. And Lacey Evans shows up. And Lacey Evans says that a real woman would fight beside her husband. And she kind of does a thing where she caresses her finger on his chest. And Candice is not a fan of that, turns out. And kind of freaks out. And Johnny has to hold her back. And they go off. So it looks like we're getting more Lacey Evans versus Candice LeRae. And I am for it. Keep that feud going. Apparently, Lacey's also feuding with Dakota Kai on Twitter. Which you should check out. That stuff is pretty good. After this, we get a Lars Sullivan squash match. Didn't even write down the guy he was fighting. Because who cares? And doesn't matter because we don't even get a finish to the match. Instead, EC3 in his suit just runs out and attacks Lars. Somehow gets the upper hand and clears Lars to the ramp. So a little revenge from Lars taking out EC3 a few weeks ago before his match with Raul Mendoza. So I guess we're getting that. So there you go. What else we got here? William Regal is asked by a cameraman in the hallway about the Aleister Black investigation because that's all he can talk about. And while he's talking about it, Nikki Cross pops out of his office. Why? I don't know. And well, actually, she says straight up says that she just wants to play with Bianca Belair again in the ring. To which Regal goes, I'll look into this, I guess. And then Nikki goes on and says over and over again, I know, and just trails off. And the cameraman's like, is she talking about the person who attacked Aleister Black? And Regal's response is, does anyone know what Nikki Cross knows? Probably not. She's a crazy person. Excellent stuff from Nikki, as always. Then we get the Mighty versus the Street Profits, which has been a feud that's been boiling over the past few weeks. And if you remember last time, I forget who the Street Profits were going against, but it ended up with the Mighty interfering and stealing their jackets and like cups and everything. So this week, the Mighty come out wearing Street Profits stuff and having their solo cup. And in response, Street Profits are just storm out during their entrance, and they're all pissed off. And right before the bell rings, Angelo Dawkins just straight up clocks Shane Thorne and lays him out. And it's just the Street Profits fighting angry for the first bit of this match. Montez Ford does like a sick dive to the outside, and then gets back up onto the ropes, and then does another one because he's amazing. And then after a hot start, the Mighty even it up, kind of slow things down. And the big story of the match was that Ford was on the apron and fell between the steps and the ring post with his leg kind of trapped. And it was Nick Miller who did a running drop kick to the steps and further injured his leg. So the rest of the match was, hey, Montez's leg is all fucked up. Let's not let him tag in his partner and just attack that for the rest of the match. And it actually cost him the match because Shane Thorne used the bad leg for a figure 4 jackknife pin and wrapped him up and scored the win. So once again, using dirty tactics, the Mighty pick up another victory over the Street Profits. And ever since turning heel and getting rid of that TM61 name, the Mighty have been on fire and have been on my radar finally. Because when they debuted in WWE, everyone was talking about how great the Mighty were. The Mighty Don't Kneel. And I just didn't see it. They're generic baby faces who did okay in the ring, but with all the talent in NXT, they didn't really stand out. Now they're doing good work, great heel tactics. The whole Mighty thing is now, they're actually using that, and it's great. So good on them for finally getting their voice in NXT. Let's see, what else we got? We had Vanessa Bourne taking on Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane, the NXT Women's Champion. At the beginning of the match, Vanessa puts on the pirate hat and mocks Sane. Kairi responds by just looking very angry and quiet and just staring at her up close before just beating the shit out of her. And it's pretty much a squash match. Kairi hits the insane elbow, gets the win. But after the match, Shayna Baszler comes out. And she says that Kairi's time is almost up. And that she is going to invoke her rematch clause and get that belt back. Gonna put down the anchor and beat Kairi and get the belt. Pirate stuff. Sane says that she can have her rematch at WWE Evolution. And she's gonna win again. So there you go. There is your NXT Women's Championship match at Evolution. A rematch of last year's Mae Young Classic final. A rematch of TakeOver Brooklyn. Kairi Sane, Shayna Baszler. Sign me up. I surprisingly enjoyed their match at TakeOver because I really didn't like their match at the Mae Young Classic. And yeah, hope it's good. I'm still not looking forward to this Evolution pay-per-view, and it's not because it's an all-women pay-per-view, but it's because WWE doesn't really care about the women on the main roster. And if it's Vince booking the show, it's not. I don't know. If this is more of the style of NXT Takeover type of booking, then I would have more faith in it. But with people like Ronda Rousey on the show, I don't know. Don't know about this one, guys. And I also don't know about the next thing that happened on NXT because all I wrote here was, oh, fuck off, Keith Lee is going to fight Kona Reeves. Keith Lee deserves better. It's true. Because Keith Lee was talking to the camera about wanting gold and instead walks in on Kona Reeves getting his hair done and he's just the worst. So yeah, I guess we're getting this match next week. Or whenever. Hopefully never. I like Keith Lee, but Kona Reeves just... On a show where you have EC3, and you even straight up had those two wrestle each other, you don't need Kona Reeves. Can Kona Reeves cut a promo yet? Asked Trace. No. I mean... It sounds fine, but the content's not great. He's just the finest, and he wants his hair taken care. I don't know. I don't like Kona Reeves, and I'm sure when they had the match, he's just gonna yell that he's the finest, and then get his ass kicked by Keith Lee because Keith Lee's great. But forget Kona Reeves because the main event is up next on NXT, and it is Otis Dozovic versus Tomato Champs. Before the match even starts, I have one thing written here, and it's fuck yeah, Otis. Fuck yeah, Otis. He's great. And you would think, oh, it's one half of a tag team taking on the NXT champion, and it's just going to be a showcase for Tomato Champs. And you would be wrong. It was all about Otis, and Otis is the man. Otis caught Ciampa off of the top rope and spun him around a bunch, and then slammed, just because he can, and then slammed him. Otis has Ciampa reeling early on as Ciampa's trying to get away. He dumped Ciampa on the outside and does the caterpillar because Otis rules. Ciampa slams Otis on the back of his head on the steel ramp and gets back in the ring and tries to get a count out, but he's like, no, he's stirring. He's going to get back in, so I'm just going to attack him some more. I'm going to drape him over the apron while he's in the ring and then hit him with a running knee. And it's only for 2, which was shocking. Otis, there's some good near falls in this match. Otis brought it. Let's see. Yeah. Next, Ciampa hopped on Otis's back with a sleeper, but because Otis is a big man, he just fell backwards and crushed him. Smart move. Ciampa then quickly grabs the belt and tries to leave, but then Tucker Knight shows up on the entranceway. He's like, no, you're not leaving. You've got to fight my buddy. Which was cool that Tucker didn't accompany Otis to the ring because he wanted him to just have a straight one-on-one match. But then he showed up later to kind of make sure the match happens. It was cool. I respect that. Ciampa messes with the referee and then, while they're distracted, pokes Otis in the eye. But after that, Otis reverses and hits a power slam for a near fall. Then Otis goes for a Vader bomb, but Ciampa rolls out as Otis tries to give chase. Ciampa hits a really nasty draping DDT to the apron, where he straight up goes vertical and falls to the outside of the ring, and it looked brutal. Like, really nicely done. He then brings him back up to the apron, hits a second one of his draping DDTs, and picks up the victory because he's the champion. But damn it, if I didn't believe some of those near falls from Otis. Like, he looks like $1 million coming out of this. Like, great job from both these guys. Ciampa looked like a shit heel who's just trying to escape this guy who's clearly outclassing him, despite the fact that he's the champion. Because that's all that Ciampa is. He's not better than people in the ring. He's just smarter. And also, he does it through shitty means, like how he retained against Johnny Wrestling, or how he actually won the belt in the first place. So yeah, they should push him. Push Otis. I guess push Heavy Machinery because I like both of them, but also push Otis. Give him all, as Trey said, give him all the belts. Give him the UK Championship. Give him the North American Championship. Give him the NXT Championship. Give him the NXT UK Women's Championship. I don't care. He's great. Otis is on my list for Wrestler of the Year, or Superstar of the Year. Excuse me. Heavy Machinery is also on my list for Tag Team of the Year, just because Otis is in it. Yeah, that's NXT. NXT was very solid this week. That main event, real surprise. And then we move on to the last show of the evening. It's the Mae Classic, which was the final 4 matches of the first round. Because I don't know if you know this, but the finals are at Evolution, and Evolution is next month. So, we have, for the first match, it's Rachel Evers taking on Hiroyo Matsumoto. This is the part where I see names written down that I'm not familiar with, and I do my best to not mispronounce them. So, about Rachel Evers, she is the queen of strong smile. Because she smiles a lot, I guess. But also, she's the daughter of Paul Ellering. And she was in the tournament last year, and she's learned a lot since then. I don't think she's signed with the... Actually, yeah, I think she is signed with WWE. She appears on NXT every now and then. But she's not one of the real, pushed names yet. And Hiroyo Matsumoto. Her nickname is Lady Godzilla. And she will destroy you. That's all you need to know. Commentary points out that Renee Young was talking with Hiroyo earlier today, and apparently her dream match is against The Undertaker. Yeah, sweet. I would watch that match. I mean, maybe not current day Undertaker, maybe Undertaker from a couple years ago. But yeah, that still would be cool. The first thing I point out in this match is that Jesus, Hiroyo's missile drop kick off the top rope into the chest made a real bad sound. I don't know. Clearly, I don't think it was from the contact of the move. But whatever she hit on herself to make the impact noise, woof, it did not sound great. Hiroyo then doesn't let up as she continues to hit her with some rough chops. Because Rachel Evers may be the queen of strong smile, but Hiroyo is all about that strong style. And that means beating the shit out of you. Hiroyo. Also, I point out that Hiroyo is yelling a bunch of Japanese and just general noises, like no matter what she does in the match. Because sure, like it's fine. It was kind of annoying, but whatever. You do you, Hiroyo. However, the crowd is way behind Rachel Evers because she appears in NXT all the time, and they're familiar with her, and also she's great. She's cool as hell. The problem is that she's getting the shit kicked out of her for the majority of this match. So finally, she reverses the momentum with a power bomb, and catches her breath because she's still reeling from that missile dropkick that made that bad noise. But unfortunately, that doesn't really lead to her taking the advantage. Instead, it's them trading hard forearms. And after that, Rachel hits a neck breaker into a running senton for 2. She then does a spinning leg drop on the second rope, which looks crazy. And again, it's only for 2. Match is heating up. This is getting good. Like hell, Hiroyo hits a German suplex, and Rachel just no sells it and gets up and gets all pissed off. But Hiroyo's response is just, "I'm just gonna knock you down again." And she does the spot where she does the slam, grabs the arms, lifts her back up, and then slams her again into a powerbomb. And then hit the rock drop for the victory. Not the rock bottom, the rock drop. Different move. So everyone was behind Rachel Evers. Did not quite work out for her, as Hiroyo Matsumoto advances to the next round. Real surprisingly solid match. I really enjoyed this. So good job to both women. Great way to start off the episode. The next match is Jess Alaban versus Taynara Conti. A little bit about Taynara Conti. She is the real black belt in the women's division. She's also the first Brazilian wrestler, female wrestler in WWE. Whereas Jessie Alaban, she mentions that she's from Earth, and then she describes herself as amazeballs, and I don't like it. Like, is she just meme girl? Is that what we're doing here? Because I'm not crazy about it. They also point out that she's only been training in the WWE Performance Center for like a year and a half. So, combined with this weird millennial bullshit, with the fact that she doesn't have a lot of experience, not really high on her, turns out. Then, so I point out she's trained. Before training the Performance Center, she was actually a collegiate volleyball player. So she's got the athleticism. Just the character work and the experience are the things that are holding her back currently. On the other hand, Taynara Conti is she's really pissed off. Like if you didn't see her qualifying match on NXT, she's just like mad all the time now and just wants to like ruin your day because she like keeps wrist control for a good portion and does that joint manipulation stuff where she just bends her hand backwards and then like fucks with the webbing between her fingers, like the area between your fingers, and it's bad. Like it was upsetting, but also cool because she's being a shit heel. And she ends up doing a judo throw into a side slam, and picks up the win pretty easily over Jess. Not really. Outside of Taynara just being fired up and mad. Not really much to report here. Jess needs more time. Whereas with Casey Catanzaro, who has under a year of experience and a ton of athleticism, she also has the personality, and she actually does like a really good job with the selling. So yeah, Jess, you need more work, lady. But hey, that's why you're in the performance center. So keep at it. Also, drop the character you have because I don't like it. After that, we have Isla Dawn versus Nicole Matthews. Isla Dawn, she's the modern day witch. She's not gonna give up if things get uncomfortable because she's been like kickboxing fights and like brawls of all types. So she's tough. Also, did I mention she's a witch? Whereas Nicole Matthews, she doesn't care how much experience you have. She's just gonna hurt you. And she was an alternate last year, and how can you have the women's evolution without her? So here she is. She's in the Mae Classic this year. So it starts off with Dawn having a nice flurry of like various kicks, which looks good. But then Matthews gets control and ties Dawn's arms. Excuse me, I jumped ahead too far. First she focuses on Dawn's back with some hard kicks and then a backbreaker and then some stretches. So ring psychology, off to a good start with this match. The whole story, besides the back injury, is that Isla is just getting outpowered by her because like she's not like a heavyweight, but Nicole Matthews is a larger competitor, and she's using that to her advantage. Matthews then ties Dawn's arms in the ropes and then gets onto the outside and starts using a bunch of kicks to the chest while she can't protect herself. And that looked rough. That's the story about this night, was a lot of hard hits. Like even the commentary pointed out, like everyone's just beating the shit out of each other tonight. Jesus. Matthews has control and then starts trash talking because she has the advantage. But that fires up Dawn, who then hits a bunch of kicks of her own and then a knee. And then I don't know how to explain this next move, but Isla kind of picks her up in the torture rack position and then kind of falls backwards and twists into a slam. And I don't know if she just like lost her balance or what, but it got the job done. And by that I mean it was a 2 count. And then the finish of the match was Nicole Matthews putting Isla Dawn into the Lion Tamer. That's right. She used the Lion Tamer, and she got the tap out win. That was awesome and very unexpected. So there you go. Nicole Matthews, who apparently I'm not as familiar with her, but apparently she's a big deal. She moves on. This was a solid outing for both, and Isla Dawn will continue to be seen because she's in the NXT UK women's division. So I'm sure we'll see more of her. She's an interesting character. I'm into it. Then we have the final match of the first round. It's Io Shirai versus Zaya Brookside. Io was a huge signing for WWE because she's like the #1 women's wrestler in Japan, and they signed her at a live event in Japan earlier this year. And her big idol is Rey Mysterio. That's good. That's a good person to look up to. Also, she apparently was supposed to be in the Mae Classic last year, but then she had an injury and needed surgery, so that delayed her getting into the tournament as well as getting an actual contract because she didn't clear the physical. Xia Brookside, she's the youngest competitor in the tournament at only 19. And she's got cool rainbow hair. And also, she's the daughter of Robbie Brookside, who's a UK legend and a current trainer at the WWE Performance Center. I think he's doing a lot of stuff with the NXT UK brand as well. So he's there. He's at ringside, and funny enough, this match is his first time seeing his daughter wrestle. How about that? You gotta make Dad proud. So yeah, EO comes out in a cool mask, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know. Well, that makes sense with the Rey Mysterio stuff, but also she takes it off to wrestle. So okay, you're doing the thing Almas does, where you come out with a mask and then you don't wrestle in it. Sure, it's a cool mask. So yeah, the match as soon as the bell rings, it starts off fast with Xia hitting a ton of hard strikes, and then them running the ropes and missing each other a whole bunch, and having a stare down, and the crowd's like, yeah, this is gonna be great. I wrote here, dang, Io reversed a punch and spins down to the mat into a crossface, which was cool because she grabbed the fist, like ducked out of the way of the punch, grabbed the arm and spun her around and put it into the crossface, and it was a cool transition. But unfortunately, we kept cutting to Robbie, who was watching at ringside, but this match did not last very long because Io hit running knees to Xia, who was kind of like sitting in the corner, and she got some real bad whiplash from the middle turnbuckle on her head after this. Got laid out in the middle of the ring, and then Io hit a top rope backflip, like to the middle of the ring, which was kind of impressive that she got like some of her on this, and picked up the win. Short match, but the big signee moves on against the young upstart. Didn't see much of her, but I think Xia is pretty cool. I think she should keep at. Oh, of course, she's Robbie's daughter. She will keep at this, but yeah, I want to see more of her. She's pretty entertaining, and I like the whole aesthetic she has with the different colored hair. So there you go. That's the Mae Young Classic, and that wraps up the first round. So next week we just kick right off into the second round. And we see some people returning, and hopefully we get some real solid matches coming out of it. And I believe that's it for Heel Turn, which is a production of ProWrestling.Cool. It's not just cool, it's .cool. You can go to the website. We have win-loss tracking. We have articles about SmackDown, because we don't have anyone to write the Raw one. And also, I was sick this week, so there was not a SmackDown article this week. I apologize. We'll try to get that back up next week. Our pal Michael, aka Final Dasa, he does his hot takes on Fridays. Hopefully he's back this week with another rip-roaring opinion about something in wrestling. You never know with him. He goes all over the place. He can talk about, Shine. He can talk about New Japan. He can talk about All In, Ring of Honor. Like he covers everything. He's an excellent dude. So make sure you check that out. If you want to follow us on social media, Facebook. It's facebook.com/PWDOTC, or search ProWrestling.Cool. Our Twitter is at the Heel Turn and at PWDOTC. Once we have more staff, around, hopefully the Heel Turn will start live tweeting the wrestling shows again, but a bit understaffed at the moment. Can't do everything. So my apologies to that. But if you want to help us, keep doing this thing and expand it some more, you can go to our Patreon, which is at patreon.cool. I bought that URL thanks to our patrons. So if you go there, we have different tiers. $1 gets you the show notes for this and all episodes of Heel Turn. If you pay $9.99 though, you get access to an exclusive podcast every month where we cover things that we don't normally cover. And we did the G1 last month, and this month, me and my pal Trace, who was being awesome in the chat during tonight's episode, we will be talking about the 3 destruction cards that they aired on New Japan World. Highlighted by big matches such as Kenny Omega versus Tomohiro Ishii, as well as Tetsuya Naito taking on... Trey says, "Oh Lord, things happen." Yeah, versus it's Tetsuya Naito versus Minoru Suzuki, and of course, for the briefcase and the Tokyo Dome match, it's Kazuchika Okada versus Tanahashi. It's been a long show. I'm tired. I apologize. I shouldn't be blanking on these guys' names. It's late. But yeah, go to patreon.cool. Get that $9.99 a month in. Trace and I have a lot to talk about. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait. I think we're recording that tomorrow, and I still have one more card to watch, but it's been excellent so far. Also, I do know the thing that happens at the end of the next one, and I'm excited to see how they pull it off, despite the fact that Yoshihashi is now dead. Rest in peace. But if you want to follow me on Twitter, just me personally, you can follow at @the_ozone. I revealed the logo today for League of Heels' Everyone Can Wrestle show, which will be at PAX Unplugged in December. So that'll be exciting. That'll be a fun show. I will have my hand in the pot on that one, putting together a very fun show. Trace also says, "Rest in peace is Yoshihashi." I mean, I need to watch the footage. I need to count how many pieces he's in. That's it. We're done. We'll be back next week with another episode where I will have my predictions for the Super Showdown card, because next weekend is the Australia show. Can't wait to wake up in the middle of the fucking morning to watch a WWE show instead of a New Japan show. I do it for you people. Also, I technically can sleep in, just watch it later. Whatever. It's fine. We'll be back next week, another episode of Heel Turn. And until then...